So let's jump right into it. Today's title is Victimology 102, Tariq Nasheed and the Foundational Black Victims. As we discussed in part one, if you want to, we can recap part one real quick. You know what? I'll just go with this video.
Let me tell you all about women. Women cannot stand a whining ass dude or a complaining nigga. Let me say that again. Brothers, I want to give y'all some game. Women can't stand a grown ass man who complains about anything. Women don't like complaining about nothing, especially if you're complaining about another man. Do you know how dry your chick's Virginia is? Her Virginia gets real dry when you sitting up here whining about another man. That's a major turnoff for a woman. I know this for a fact. I know a chick years ago I ended up getting with. We didn't date, but you know, we had grown folks fun. But she was dating a dude, and the dude was low-key hating on me. It was a long time ago. He was hating. So she left that dude. She left him and then found me. And then we ended up doing what we had to do to make her feel like a woman. You understand me? So she sought me out and started throwing the Virginia at me, you know? Women don't like a dude complaining about bills. Oh, how are we gonna pay these bills? I don't know what we're gonna do. Fellas, don't do that. If you got bill problems, keep that shit. Work that shit out in your mind. Unless you and your woman are going half and half on the bills or whatever, you still need to have some the kind of mindset where you give instructions like, okay, look, I need you to do this and I need you to do that. But just sitting around, oh Lord, these bills are just piling up. I just don't know what we're gonna do. All these bills is just really putting a toll on me. You know, women don't want to hear that shit.
So you heard Tariq Nasheed, and he said that women don't like men that complain. It's a turnoff. Now, you heard what he said. Now, I often say that the reason why there's a lot of contention between black men and black women is because the black man, when he has a chance to speak to the world, he gets on that platform, behind that microphone, on that stage, and he blames the white man. So subconsciously and from her nature, most black women are repulsed by black men. Now, the repulsion is from a nature level, spiritual level, subconscious level. It doesn't mean it manifests all the time openly, you know, overtly, but it does manifest in her lack of respect for the black man. And so black men are always complaining, whining about the white man, about being oppressed, about being victims. So black men always do that. This is why I believe that most of the contention comes from is that black men don't ever say no excuses. Black men don't ever say no excuses. They never look at life and say no excuses. There's always an asterisk when it comes to life because the quote unquote white man exists. So we're going to listen to Tariq Nasheed go against what he's saying right here.
And spending a lifetime looking at white people and complaining about them and trying to get them to let you be a supremacist or a real man. I can't imagine living a lifetime thinking that some other man, whether he's white, black, Jewish, whatever it might be, Asian, is holding me back in life. As a man yourself,
right?
What does that feel like?
Well, I don't complain to the white supremacists. All of my messages are for the victims of white supremacy.
Right, but your whole thing is about the white man.
The white supremacists, not the white man, the white supremacists.
Right, it's still about men. They are white men.
No, the white supremacists, because you have white female supremacists too.
So men and women, white.
No, white supremacists.
Right.
Let's be very clear.
What does it feel like to be a man who believe that these people are holding you back?
Right.
And so you spend a whole lifetime building your life around them, trying to stop them, and they're moving on with life and doing what they do anyway.
Right.
What does that feel like?
What do you mean, what does it feel like? I feel like a victim of white supremacy.
So you feel like a victim?
I'm a victim. I'm a victim of white supremacy.
So you heard him. I am a victim. That's complaining. What are you a victim of, sir? What can't you accomplish? What can't you do? Keep it to yourself. You mean to tell me you would tell black men to not complain about the bills, but you would get on TV and complain about white people? You want black men to not complain about the bills, but you want to get on TV and complain about white men and white women. And this is who you all are following. The guy that says he's a victim and he's oppressed. You all are following a guy that says he's a victim and that he is oppressed.
Well, wait. No, so look,
you're practicing the religion of white supremacy. It's the open-ended white supremacy, sir.
what's the solution to this open-ended white supremacy? What's the solution?
If I knew the solution, I would be putting it on billboards right now. Black people have not figured out how to not be dominated by white supremacy. The problem is, you know what, unfortunately.
So again, if you don't have a solution, then all you're doing is complaining. As a man, if you don't have a solution, all you are doing is complaining. So again, the very thing that he's giving men advice on, giving them game on, he constantly goes against. Because complaining is complaining. You've just made concessions for complaining against white men and white people and racism because you're a victim. To be black is to be controlled, because to be black is to be a victim. You are oppressed. You are under the boot of white supremacy. It's all of these ideologies that keep a black person down. It's all these mental gymnastics to somehow be a king and a god, or a queen and a goddess, but then somehow also be oppressed by white people. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said before, FBA, foundational Black Americans, are nothing but victims. It's the same propaganda that all the other groups spew. White people bad, black people good. White people oppressed, black people victims. It's the same script over and over again.
BA is code for
Mozambique.
enslaved Africa.
I got some ancestry that traces back to Mozambique somewhere. We can go over to Zanzibar. There were people who were brought over from Zanzibar and East Africa too. Don't make it just seem like it was West Africa. Let's be clear. East Africa, man, please. They were heavy in the slave trade over there too. Over there in Zanzibar and Tanzania, Tipu Tip, that was a black Arab. He was half Arab, half black African. He was black as hell. He was a major slave trader over there. I went to Zanzibar and seen all the stuff that he did. Yeah, Tipu Tip. It was a wealthy black slave owner over there.
So you mean to tell me the Africans own slaves, black folks here in America own slaves, but you want white people to pay for that? You mean to tell me Africans own slaves, black people in America own slaves, but you want white people to pay for that? Why are you not going to these African nations? These African nations have already said they were providing the slaves. They've already said it's on record. So how are you upset with America or any other country for purchasing a product that was offered? How are you upset with any Western country or Arab country or anybody that was purchasing slaves that were provided by the continent of Africa? And you just said that it was more countries than just West Africa, East Africa too. So again, my question is, why are you not going after the African nations? Because they're the ones that provided the slaves. In any other scenario, you would go to the source. You would go to the source. There could be somebody busted for drugs. But if they can get this person to talk to the person that's supplying them, they don't even care about this person that's selling it on the street level. They want the guy at the top. In any other scenario, everybody would go to the source. But when it comes to slavery, and keep in mind that slavery is going on today, right now, in Africa, in the Middle East, in China, in India. Slavery is going on right now today, and nobody cares. You only care not about the Arab slave trade, not about anybody else in the slave trade. You only care about white people having slaves, which means you don't have an issue with slavery because the Africans own slaves and black folks own slaves in America. So you don't have an issue with slavery. You got an issue with white people having slaves. Now that sounds like jealousy to me. That sounds like jealousy. That sounds real weak. That's a real weak argument. Because the way he's describing FBA is really just you were once a slave. The irony of you all condemning Africans that come over here or the first generation or whatever, you condemn them, but then get on a podcast and say that you're descendants of those same Africans. It doesn't make any sense.
Angola, they had a lot of people they were putting over there in, down in Brazil. Oh yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them. Kenya, Liberia, Cameroon. Oh, a lot of them.
Have the same cultural connection. Red Indian tribes, that's not going to work. Even though there were Callaway crowd, y'all Negroes, in her name Indian Red, no Indian Red, and other Negroes like that. All right, let me talk to y'all who are trying to claim, yeah, the dumbass, lame Callaway crowd. There's a reason why dumbasses like that are not taken seriously. No, y'all can't claim them red tribes. That doesn't work. That's not going to work for you. Claiming them red Indian tribes, that's not going to work. Even though there were some Aboriginal tribes and some of the Choctaw and some of those people who were reclassified as Negro, yes. There were a lot of Native Americans who were reclassified as Negro. This is absolutely true, especially out here in California. There were a lot of those Aboriginal tribes really out here heavy. The Mojave, these were like black tribes. The Ohlone tribe, these tribes look like African tribes.
Well, on this note right here, if you go to the La Brea Tar Pits and there's a museum there, if you go down to the basement level, they'll show you the timeline of California, and literally they had like the natives, like the indigenous people of California, and they literally have, I'm not joking, they're black. It's like black and then it's like Native American, but there are black people that they have on that illustration down there. We're talking about in California. Why they would put black people there, I don't know if it wasn't true, but they did. They put black people and what you consider Native Americans. So they showed it in, if you go to that museum at the La Brea Tar Pits. So right here, he may have a little validity in what he's saying based on what I saw at the museum.
They got reclassified as Negro, and then the white supremacists infiltrated them tribes already. They've been infiltrated by the dominant society now.
You know what's funny is my grandparents, great-grandparent, great-grandmother never talked about slavery. And again, like I said in the previous video, my grandparents were born in the early 1900s. Both sides, my dad, my mother's side, and my great-grandparents on both sides were not African. And then we have a family tree book that goes back to the 1700s on my grandfather's side, but there's no Africans. But what's funny is when I was growing up, there was never a tie of us being African, never. There was no Afrocentric nothing in my family. There was no kind of tie to Africa, no speaking we African. The only thing I was told that we were by my grandfather, he said we was Indians. He said that's what he said. Now, is it true? I don't know. I'm just telling you, he didn't say African, he said Indian. I remember he brought us a book a long years ago, and it's called Black Indians, years ago. Anyway, my point is that in my family, I've never heard anything about Africa or slavery, never in my life. And what's funny is when I was growing up, I was always called African, African booty scratcher, and all these names, always teaching me being African. And I was like, I'm not African. But then when you get older, when I got older, everybody wanted to be from Africa. It was cool. It's funny how when I was younger, it wasn't cool to be from Africa. And I wasn't from Africa. I'm not. My family isn't. But then when you get older, everybody wants to have some tie to Africa now. Now folks want to know what tribe they're from, what country they come from. This is crazy. That's how you know it's propaganda and programming. That's how you know it's propaganda and programming, because nobody even cared about being from Africa. But anyway, let's continue.
So what, you gonna reclaim them tribes now? Boy, that's an uphill battle. Where are the feather wearing Negroes now? Because are y'all gonna try to reclaim them tribes now? Boy, that's an uphill battle if y'all think you're gonna do that. Those tribes have already been infiltrated by $5 European Indians.
Now, when I was in junior high school, I went to school with a girl, and she said that she was Native American. And I used to always tease her, like, you're white, like you're not, but literally, Native American, mom, dad, tribe. I'm talking about all of that. They had the whole, and I'm talking about just look as European as anybody. So again, there's some validity to what he's saying. At the same time, your leader is saying he's still oppressed, he's a victim, and he doesn't have a solution, and he can't defeat the white man. So why are you following him? But let's continue.
They've already been infiltrated. All right. They've already kicked the black folks out of those tribes a century and a half ago. They done already kicked them out those tribes. All right. You feel me? Now, if you want to go that route or claim some type of allegiance to those tribes, the best thing to do is go for the Treaty of 1866, where those tribes are supposed to give the same resources and benefits to the freedmen that were associated with them. And that's another thing. A lot of the black natives, they either reclassified them as Negro or reclassified them as freedmen. Just said, okay, they were freed they were slaves that we had. Yeah.
So again, when he talks about FBA, all FBA is you saying that you were over here longer. Because what you're saying is basically that your parents were born here. This is what you're saying, because they use the term anchor, baby, and tether. So what they're saying is that if your parents were born here, then you aren't a tether. You aren't a tether. Or I guess your grandparents. But again, like I said, my family, we're going back to the 1700s. And so again, they try to discredit the messenger by saying they're not foundational Black American. And again, I'm probably more foundationally Black than anybody that's running their mouth. Because I literally have a trace back for centuries of my people in this country. And then when I went to Africa, they told me I wasn't African. When I went to Africa, they said, you're not African.
I think 12 years a slave. He had a breakdown on. I said, wait a minute. I started looking at all the people that was connected to the White House who were in positions of power. And I said, wait a minute, these people, none of these people come from slave backgrounds in America. And I said, that can't be a coincidence. So Barack Obama, his family didn't descend from slaves. Eric Holder, he's from the Caribbean. His family didn't descend from slaves.
Barack Obama's mother, her great-great-great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was the first slave brought to America. Barack Obama's white mother, her great-grandfather 5 times was the first slave brought to America. So Barack Obama indeed does have ties to slavery. You can look this up, people. Look it up. So what he's saying is inaccurate.
There was a lot of slaves in the Caribbean.
No, I'm talking about here.
Oh, yeah,
here. That's different.
Yeah.
Here,
No,
right here.
If you're from the Caribbean and you black, you most likely are a descendant of
Right,
slaves.
but I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
A foundational Black American. That's very important.
I think Colin Powell is from
He's Jamaican. He's Jamaican, right? It's very different. You connected to the soil here because your energy is going to be different. That's why when you look at movies now, when they talk about slavery and civil rights, they'll get a lot of African actors to do those roles now, because a lot of foundational Black American actors who would do those roles, they would get on those slave plantations and those ancestral memories would pop up and they would kind of.
Ain't no ancestral memories. Y'all don't have no recollection of slavery. Slavery done been so propagandized and so overblown and exaggerated. Y'all have recollections from movies, from what somebody told you, from what somebody showed you. Ain't no ancestral nothing. And again, foundational Black American, all it is that you was a slave earlier. That's it. It's not a special movement. It's no different than any other movement. It's still you saying, I'm oppressed by white people.
Flip out. John Amos, he talked about being on the set of Roots in the 70s and they were filming on a plantation. He freaked out on that plantation because those ancestral memories come up. It gets too real for you. Our brother who recently died, Michael, what's that brother? He was in The Wire.
Michael Williams?
Yeah. He was on, I think, 12 Years a Slave. He had a breakdown on the plantation. You did? He went down there and filmed, had a breakdown. A lot of our actors and actresses, they get on these plantations and you feel that damn energy.
So they don't want to hire Black Americans to do
So they're like, if it gets real for them, that's going to get real for the viewer. You know what I'm saying? That's going to transfer to the viewer. They're
just making up all kind of stuff, man. These people have no recollection of slavery. They have none. They're getting into character. That's what it's called. It's called getting into character. So you have to study what you believe a slave went through and how a slave would think. It's just called getting into character. That's all. It's not deep. But again, Tariq Nasheed told you all that he is oppressed, he is a victim, and he doesn't have a solution. He is dominated, like he said, by white people. He's dominated by them. So my question is, why are you following him? Again, the FBA movement is no different than any other movement. Civil rights movement, Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites, they all have the same talking points. White people bad, Black people good. White people oppressed, Black people are oppressed. White people supreme, Black people victims. It's the same script over and over again, just packaged differently. All of your favorite Black leaders are tethers, all of them. Marcus Garvey, Farrakhan, Malcolm X, all of your favorite Black leaders are what y'all call tethers. Go look it up. Go look at your most influential Black people, the who's who people, and see how many of them are what y'all call tethers. Me, on the other hand, I'm actually not a tether, but I get called a tether, not because of my lineage, but because of my view. I don't see myself as a victim. I don't see myself as weak. I don't see myself as a coward. I don't see myself as oppressed. Therefore, by default, I can't be Black. Because to be Black is to be all of those things. A victim, oppressed, as Tariq Nasheed said, dominated by white supremacy. Why would I subscribe to that? You can see my shirt. I ain't Black, I'm free. And this saying was birthed when I heard Joe Biden say on TV to Charlemagne the fraud, he said, if you don't know who to vote for between me and Donald Trump, then you ain't Black. That right there opened my eyes to what Black actually means, because being Black means what? You got to be a Democrat. You got to subscribe to communism. You got to subscribe to Marxism. You got to subscribe to socialism. You got to be oppressed. You got to be inferior. You got to be a victim. You got to have been a slave. It's a whole bunch of programming and propaganda that goes into a person being Black. So why would I want to be Black? I'm free. I think a wise man once said, I ain't black. I'm OJ.